Good morning, everybody. The Roy McCann Real Estate Broker, Canada Realty, joined by my good friend, Jeanette Hartman, Senior Mortgage Consultant at American Pacific Loans, American Loans Pacific.
American Pacific Mortgage.
American Pacific Mortgage. Took a words out of my mouth, Jeanette. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great now.
Fantastic. We are going a little late today. We had some technology issues. We are based on doing real estate and not technology, but we got it all figured out. Quick question, Jeanette. Storm watch. How did you get over it?
We had a lot of wind and we had a lot of rain, but it was very cold, but we're all good now.
Fantastic. We were snowed under here in Las Vegas, as you can see. It was tumultuous. I had to call the city to get the diggers out to clear the roads. It was shocking. But we get over it. We'll survive. I think there's a couple of things to say about you this morning. Congratulations. I heard that you were a member of the President's Club. What was that? And tell us about that award that you were given.
Well, thank you. So American Pacific Mortgage has, I think, 1,200 and some loan officers, and the President's Club is given to the top 40 originators. So I hit in the top 40 this year. So that was a great honor for a lot of work that was put in by myself and my team. I couldn't do it without my team.
I know. Wonderful crew, wonderful crew. Congratulations, Jeanette. Really proud of you, and I know you do a wonderful job. It's wonderful that California, it's lifted the stay-at-home orders now.
We did.
We can go and get our haircuts now.
We can get our haircuts. We can sit outside and freeze and eat dinner. Just in time for the winter snow.
All right, fantastic. Moving into real estate, Jeanette, appraisals. I got one coming tomorrow. Let me ask you about appraisals, because this is, there's been more breakups between real estate agents and their loan officers than there have been divorces in America over appraisals. And I wanted to talk, I got one coming tomorrow, and I believe it'll come in at value. But let me ask you about appraisers. Who orders them? Why are they necessary?
Well, so the appraisals, first of all, they're an opinion of value. And they're not your opinion or my opinion, it's the appraiser's opinion. There is some logic put into them, but they're an art, not a science. And I always remind people of that. So they're ordered by the lender. Each lender has to go through an AMC, an appraisal management company. They put that in several years ago so that appraisers and lenders couldn't form relationships together. And we couldn't call them, the appraisers, and say, hey, we really need you to do this. Bring this value in. We're not allowed to communicate with the appraisers anymore. So it's good and bad. Probably more bad than good, but I think it was designed so that appraisers didn't have to feel like they had to bring a value in or they were going to ruin their relationship with the lender. So because of that, they're non-transferable. In most cases, there's a couple situations where you can transfer an appraisal, but most of the time the lender has to order it, and it's only good for that specific lender.
Let me ask you, you said, so explain what you mean by transfer appraisal. What does that mean? If a loan falls out, it can transfer to the next buyer? Is that what you mean?
In some cases. So on an FHA loan, for example, or an FHA appraisal is tied to the property. So once an appraisal is done for an FHA loan, it will stick with that property for, I believe it's 3 or 6 months. Before another appraisal can be ordered because it's tied to a case number. And VA appraisals, they're ordered by the VA. And so it's just a random, whoever's up next, the VA assigns it. And a VA appraisal can be transferred, but only for the same borrower to the same property. So if a VA client changes lenders, they can take that appraisal with them. But an FHA is tied to the property, not the borrower.
Jeanette, we in the real estate selling business believe sometimes that the appraisals can be stricter for FHA or VA. Is that true?
I don't really think it is. I know people feel that way. A VA and an FHA appraisal, they have to look a little more in depth at different things. They're looking for safety and security of the home. So an FHA appraiser has to peek up into the attic and make sure there's insulation. But appraisers have told me there's not a lot of difference between the strictness of one from the other. Maybe in some situations, but there shouldn't be a big difference.
Okay. When an appraisal comes in, we sometimes see a thing called conditions. Can you explain conditions and what they mean?
So I think you're referring to the condition of the property. And so they would be looking at, is it average condition? Is it above average? Have there been a lot of improvements made to the property? What are the conditions compared to somebody else? So I'll give you an example. People used to think, and I don't hear it quite as much anymore, but people would say, I have granite countertops. Great, but when the house was built, did all of the homes or the majority of the homes have granite countertops? Because if so, then the condition of those homes are all going to be comparable. So if you have an older tract home that was built with 4-inch square white tiles, and everybody tends to have upgraded, then everybody's condition is going to be comparable. But if nobody's upgraded and you have, or you've done more, then your condition will be superior to somebody else's.
All right. And they also, appraisers can make requests that there are repairs made on a property, correct?
Correct. And again, that's going to be more for health and safety issue. So if you have ugly carpet, the appraiser doesn't care. If you have missing carpet, the appraiser cares. You have to have flooring, and ripping out your carpet because it's stained and gross and whatever, that's going to cause a problem. But just having ugly carpet isn't an issue.
Is there a set value on upgrades? I know that we always tell people to paint and get a home prepared, but let's talk about, let's say, for instance, you do have white tile countertops in a home, and another home that you're comparing to does have the granite backsplash, etc. Is there a set value on that for an appraiser, or is that subjective?
I think the appraisers have guidelines. They have some book that they follow. The book's not the right word, but they have some guidelines that they follow for general, what the value of a pool is, what the value of upgrades are, but it's somewhat subjective, but they do have guidelines that they follow. Pools are a perfect example. Most pools we see, they'll give a value of $25,000 maybe for a pool and spa. Well, if you were to put a pool and spa in, it's going to cost a lot more than $25,000, which is why when an appraisal is done, the appraiser has to look for comps that have pools, because a pool home will command more than a house that doesn't have a swimming pool. And then you might also see an additional upgrade made. So if somebody's got, your basic swimming pool, they may get $25,000. If they've got, an upgraded swimming pool with a rock waterfall and lights all around it and the big palm trees, they're going to get an additional condition value for that backyard. But it's not going to be dollar for dollar what's put in for it.
No, I wouldn't. It's $50,000 to put a pool in right now, I believe, just a normal pool. And I believe, well, just my own experience, maybe you'll get 10 to 15,000 allowed in appraisal. Does an appraisal matter if a house is 1 story? Will they only comp on 1 stories, or 2 stories come in? I know you're not an appraiser, but do you have any idea how that works?
Again, I believe that when they're doing a 1-story home, they're going to look for other 1-story comparable homes, because a 1-story home might be given more value. There's some people that only want a 1-story home. And so it might command a higher price. So they will have to look for at least 1 home, if not more, that's a single story. But if they can't find it, they can't find it. But that's their goal, is to look for the most comparable type home to what they're appraising.
I appreciate that. And also, let me ask you this. We get appraisals. Sometimes we like the appraisal. Sometimes we dislike the appraisal. What do we do when we dislike the appraisal and don't agree with the value? What options do we have?
So they do have a process put in place that you can dispute an appraisal. I've very rarely been able to get an appraisal increased, but it is possible. What they're looking for is they're looking for things that the appraiser missed. It's hard to dispute an appraiser's opinion. But if you can say, well, here's an additional closed sale that you missed, and here's why I think you should use it, you can do that. Or if you can find things that are errors in the appraisal, then you can point those out. American Pacific Mortgage has something that's a little unique. We have an inside appraisal department. So when we have a comp or an appraisal that doesn't come in where we need it, whether it's a purchase or a refinance, I can send it over to my appraisal team and they will do the rebuttal for us. So that because they're appraisers, so they can review it. They can sometimes reach out and talk directly to the appraiser. They're allowed to do that where I'm not, and try and get the appraiser to understand what their opinion is and why. And I have had some success getting appraisals come up maybe 10 to 20,000 using my my whole, my home office to help out with that.
Okay.
But it's a process. Now, VA appraisals, one nice thing about a VA appraisal on a purchase, if it's not coming in at the purchase price, they issue what's called a Tidewater, which I'm sure is somebody's last name or a street somewhere of an appraisal that went to court. And so the VA appraiser will issue Tidewater, and that's them raising their hand saying this house isn't going to appraise, and they give both agents, listing agent and buyer's agent, a chance to provide additional comps. You don't get to see their appraisal, so you don't know how far it's off, but you can provide comps to say, here's how I'm justifying the value. And you provide it to them, and then they include that as part of the report. And they will look at that information to try and increase the value for you.
Jeanette, it's a crazy market right now. As we know, there are a lot of appraisals coming in. And sometimes it seems like it doesn't really matter what the appraisal is because buyers are willing to pay over the appraisal price right now. What percentage can you tell us of appraisals coming in are at value right now, do you see?
I would say lately, the majority of mine have been coming in a little bit low, anywhere from 5,000 to, I think I had one that came in like $50,000 short. Highly upgraded custom home. Buyer didn't care. Buyer was going to pay it. Didn't matter what it appraised for. They said, the backyard was very impressive, and the buyer knew, like, for me to put that backyard in would cost double that. So he was willing to pay it. And the reality was he was putting such a large amount down that it didn't matter. It didn't change anything for the loan. Because that's something important to know, is that buyers don't understand, like, if it doesn't appraise, if it comes in $5,000 short or $10,000 short, do I have to bring in an additional $5,000 or $10,000? And you don't always. So if you're working with a lender that knows how to deal with that, oftentimes we just tweak the loan. And sometimes, depending on how much someone's putting down, it can be the same exact loan amount. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change their cash to close. It doesn't change their interest rate, their payment. Nothing will change. Other times, there's things we can do to keep the deal together. I just had one that appraised, I think it was like $15,000 short. And I showed the buyer how they could pay mortgage insurance, kind of a one-time mortgage insurance, so they didn't have a monthly payment, and they had to bring in an extra $2,000. And she's like, done. I'll pay $2,000 to not have mortgage insurance and get this house. So small price to pay, especially if you have to understand, if this is the house you're going to live in, most people are buying based on payment, as opposed to buying based on purchase price.
Yeah, I saw a lovely meme the other day. It says, how's the market right now? And the answer was, do you remember last April when you were looking for toilet roll?
That could have been on my Facebook. It was on mine.
Is that you? Yeah, it was fantastic. And that is the market right now. And I know it's been driven by again, scarcity of homes, so we need homes to list, and also amazing low mortgage rates right now, Jeanette, right?
Right. Yeah,
Driving
and if I get somebody that's like, I'm going to wait until I think the market's going to come down, and I'll show them, if you wait until the market drops by $10,000, then, and your interest rate goes up by 0.5%, your payment's going to be more. So are you buying for the house price? Or are you buying for the payment? So, and the other thing that I hear a lot is people will say, our home values have come up so much quickly that they think that we're going to see a big crash. And, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Roy, but the people that I monitor and the people that I pay a lot of attention to, they really don't think we're going to see a crash like what happened back in 2009, 2010, because we don't do stupid loans. We did a lot of stupid loans back then. It was, we'd hold up a mirror. Let me hold up my mirror. If you fog it, you get a loan. One day out of bankruptcy, you get a loan. 100% financing, you get a loan. Can't prove your income, you get a loan. One day out of bankruptcy, 100% financing, no, you can't prove your income, bad credit, you get a loan too. Like, there was no stopping anybody. You wanted a loan, you got a loan. That's not the case. What I put people through, they're qualified.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
The industry.
No, it is absolutely an amazing time. Home sales records during this pandemic. Now California is on the move again. People can leave their homes. Hopefully, we're going to see more homes coming on the market. Lots of buyers looking to qualify. Call Jeanette Hartman. Call Calnev Realty. We'll be there for you. Jeanette, thanks for a great 15 minutes. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Rick. Roy, have a great day.
Congrats again on your President's Club award, and I know you'll be there again next year.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. See ya.